So yeah, Jira. So what is Jira? Jira is a project tracking tool, right? Um, Typically used in software development. It is created by a company called Atlassian. It's an Australian company, quite a big company, successful company. And Jira is like the flagship product that has brought majority of their, it's $1 billion company by just using this number one software development tool used by agile teams, right? And now they've rebranded themselves now, agile teams. They used to call themselves project management tool. But they see that, people are moving away from project management and they start to see themselves as an agile tool. So yeah, Jira, you can get it off their website, which is atlassian.com/software/Jira. You get it for free. Like I said, so I'm going to just show us again, I'll walk us through how to get a free version. Typically, I think it's free for 10 users, right? So click on get it for free. Maybe today I'll also talk about Confluence. I know we talk about Jira a lot. So most companies that use Jira also use what we call Confluence. Confluence is a documentation collaboration tool. It's levels like Microsoft Word, or for those who know, SharePoint. But it's to document stuff. Developers document the code. Scrum Master, you can document your team's working agreement, your definition of done, definition of ready, team calendar. Maybe you want to store team birthdays. Some people even do retrospectives on there, or keep a copy or store a copy of the retrospective. So when you're creating the free software of Jira, you can select Confluence as well. And this Jira Service Management, you don't necessarily need this. This is for more of developers, right? So yeah, we'll go next. Now you have two options of signing up. You can sign up through Google, or if you don't use Gmail, you can use your own email address. If you have a Gmail account, I think if you click on continue with Google, it will take you to Google. So I have so many email addresses here. So let me see which one I will use. Let me use this other one. And I'll create an account. We already have an account at onbecomingagile, but we have it on our at onbecomingagile.com. So this is at onbecoming@gmail.com. So I can just create an account here. So it's asking me for a website. So I guess anybody that's creating one, you just can create any name for yourself. So let me see what I can call this now. OBA. Most like, oh, really? It's available. So I gave it oba.atlassian.net. I hit agree. So this is what we call a subdomain. It gives you a subdomain. We already have one called onbecomingagile.atlassian.com. Tell a bit about yourself. I'll just click other. Typically, it should be software development. Let me software development. What's your role? So now they talk about agile teams on their homepage, but yet we don't see Scrum Master here. We see project manager. So we have to go and fight them. Why they would not add Scrum Master as one of the roles? What are your main tasks? Project planning, most likely. Next. So you can skip the questions too. You don't have to answer those questions. You can just skip it. So it's reloading right now. All right. So it's created a subdomain. So oba.atlassian.net. So whenever you create your own account, you can create whatever subdomain you want to call it. So let me claim to be new to Jira. My team is new to agile methodologies. We spend our time working on features. We have a flexible schedule. Again, you can skip this. I think they're just using this to gather data about who their users are. So you can skip it. You don't necessarily have to do all of that. So it's going to ask for a project. So I'm going to create a dummy project. I'm trying to see what name to call it. Yeah, let's say I was going to build the Becoming Agile website, right? Probably give me, okay, oh yeah, I thought it would give me OBA, but I can create a key. So all this, all the user stories will have a prefix, which will, whatever name you want to call it, you can customize or edit it here. Kanban project, because remember we use Kanban boards. And I'm going to click on create project. So the project is called On Becoming Agile. So we're trying to build, say, the website of On Becoming Agile. So I'm going to skip this because we don't need, you can connect Jira to so many tools, but you don't necessarily need it. So you can skip it. And if you need to do that in the future, you can always go back to sync or to connect them. See, to tell you to invite your teammates as well. You don't have to. So just ignore it and click continue. All right. I'll exploit myself. I don't need all of this. I'll dismiss it. But if you create an account, you can definitely look at all of that, play around with it. Does your team need more from Jira? So this is a standard plan. They definitely have paid plan. So for people that want, maybe like organizations or enterprises. So what you can do with a paid plan, you can unlock user limits. So you can go beyond 10 users. You have advanced permissions. So many things that you can customize. You can give access to people outside of your team. As an admin, you can audit and see any changes your team or your members or your employees in your company are making changes. They'll support you with their support team if you have any issues. With a free plan, they will not support you. And you can share files. So we don't need to do a trial. I'm just going to X this and close this out. So this is Jira, right? Simple. This is a Kanban board, right? Columns to do, in progress, done. You can create another one. We call it testing. And of course, you must test before you move to done. So you put it here. So this is a typical example of what a Scrum team's board can look like. The items that they need to work on will be in to do and in progress and testing and done. And in Jira, you can create an issue through either you use create up here or you can create an issue down here. So if I wanted to create like a, okay, so this is a Kanban board. Let me see if I can switch to projects. So Scrum project. Project settings. Okay, now let's see. I might need to create another. So this is a Kanban board. I was looking for a Scrum project. Let me see if I create another project as a Scrum project. Okay, yeah. So under create, so I want Scrum. So that way you have backlogged. And you can choose between team manage or company manage. Let's just company manage projects and give it a BA websites, call it that. Okay, give it OW. So it's Scrum project. All right, because I was looking for backlog. The Kanban project did not have a backlog. It wants you to do the backlog from the Kanban board directly. Although in Scrum, we use a Kanban board. So just in case you might confuse it. Kanban is a framework on its own, but even in Scrum, we use a Kanban board. So backlog, this is where you now, as a product owner starts to add user stories to their backlog, right? This is a Scrum Master's responsibility, but I've seen a lot of people interview and they're asking them questions about, can they create user stories? Of course, you have to clarify that kind of question. They don't need you to write the stories from scratch like you're the product owner, or maybe the user stories exist somewhere, maybe in an Excel sheet or Excel file, and then you want you to bring it into Jira. And you can say, of course, you can help with that. But you're not going to write user stories because you're not a product owner, so you don't know what to write. So product owner, so this is what I'm looking for user story. Product owner would create user stories. So a summary could be login or website login. Okay, yes, I have some ideas here. So as a OBA member, I want to log into, maybe I'll say, let me log in. I'll log into the portal so that I can gain access to the resources, right? So that's how we're going to write a story. You can assign it to someone, you can set a priority. If it's high priority, you can make it high priority. You can add labels. You can also link it to an epic. If we created an epic, you can link it to an epic and all of that. And you can create, so if you want to, if you're creating multi-user stories, if you check this box or you click create, automatically it pops up another window. I'm going to create this one and look at it down here. The first user story is sitting in the backlog. Let me see, let me write another one. After logging in, let's see what else. Maybe say forgot password. As an OBA member, I want to reset my password so that I can gain access to my account. So that might be not, we can make it in the high priority and create. Let me try this one. That'll create another issue. Let's see. And immediately it doesn't take us anywhere. It brings me back here so I can add another story. Let me see. Update password. To be able to update my password so that I can change my default passwords in order to avoid it being compromised by hackers. So maybe this is not such a high priority, so it could be low priority. So I can uncheck this now since I don't want it to keep curating new user stories. So you see now we have 3 stories in the backlog. And if you look at this OW1, OW2, OW3, so OW stands for Unbecoming Agile Website, you know, the prefix for giving your user story a number or ID and stuff like that. So this is just basic ways of creating the backlog. Again, product owners will do this, but as a Scrum Master, you should know about this, right? In case, you know, first of all, at an interview, they'll ask you those questions. Even though it's not our duty, again, I don't know what's happening out there in the streets today, but I hear so many weird questions about, so, okay, oh, can you create user stories? You need to let them understand that you definitely can add user stories. You can use the tool to add user stories. If the product owner has a bunch of user stories and they need someone to add it to the tool, then you can do that. But obviously, you're not going to come up with ideas or come up with user stories because you don't own the products. You don't work in product management, right? Your duty or your responsibility or your experience lies in Scrum framework. So your duty is not to write user stories. So these are questions that if they ask you at an interview, then you want to respond, let them understand that, yes, you know how to write user stories, but you just don't do it. Again, you're a Scrum Master, you're not a product owner, you're not going to come up with those ideas. Anyway, so this is how product owners rank or prioritize in Jira. It's very simple like that. It's intuitive like that. You just drag and drop and move things around. So if you want to work on number 3 first, you move it up since it might be the highest priority. Okay, I look at the priority here now. Oh, I did it accordingly. But yeah, assuming you wanted the highest priority, you want to move it here, and maybe this one is low priority or whatever it is. But this is how product owners rank or prioritize. We can also create a sprint, how to create a sprint in Jira. See, it's showing you here how to create a sprint. So hit create sprint. And now here you can actually rename the sprint. So you click on these three dots here and edit it. You can give the sprint a name. It's called OW sprint 1. You can change it to whatever name you want to call it. You can call it, I don't know, iteration. We don't want to use the word sprint. Iteration 1 or iteration 71, 45, whatever it is, right? Or for safe people, call it IP iteration, things like that. So you can choose the duration of the sprints. Could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. Typically, we know we use 2-week iteration. And you can select the start date. So let's say the sprint starts tomorrow, Thursday. It will automatically populate the end date. Typically, again, you can add a sprint goal. You can type a sprint goal. You don't have to use this. Or some people type the sprint goal here. So let me just try. So the sprint goal is to create basic login functionality. And once you update, the sprint name changes. And to plan the sprint, like I used to say, it's so simple. You drag stories from the backlog into the sprint backlog, right? You just drag stories. Right. You can remove, you can drag stories inside it. Simple as that. You can remove everything if you wanted to, or just say, okay, we can only work on 2 user stories. So we're only going to work on update password or forgot password. Maybe next sprint we'll work on login functionality. You can create the next sprint in advance, right? It will automatically follow whatever name you did here. So we can edit this. Let's say sprint 1 PI 2, things like that. And say the sprint was, it also give you a date. So once you start your cadence, it by default gives you the future date. So then the sprint ends here, this one starts here. Let's assume your team can only work on 2 user stories, which I forgot to add story points. But let's assume in backlog refinement, you guys are doing refinement and refining in advance for this sprint 1 PI 2. After refinement, you guys can just drag it there. Even though you're not going to work on it, it's sitting in this sprint bucket, right, for future sprint. And you can add an estimate easily by just opening the story and say I put 8. And that's why you see the story points here, right? Right now it's showing dash because we didn't put anything there. Once you click on this, after your team have voted and agreed on this point, you come here and change it. Similarly, you do it for even refinement, you want to estimate. You want to make sure your team's estimating during refinement. So this is the sprint that we're going to start tomorrow. This is the sprint that we're going to start in the future. There's nothing wrong with creating future sprints, right? You can create 1 or 2 sprints in advance so that when your product owner is, refining stories, he can let the team know that, yeah, in the future sprint, we might work on this, not on iteration, not on the IP iteration, but maybe sprint 1 or sprint 2, things like that, right? So yeah, this is how to create sprint again in Jira. And you saw backlog, product backlog. Let me just create another sample story here. They create a story from here too. You don't have to come here to create story, right? I don't know if you guys are seeing the pop-up. Are you guys seeing the pop-up screen? Say yes in the chat so you can see the pop-up, because I'm opening that create tab. I don't know if you guys are seeing that pop-up.
What does the pop-up say?
This one right now, does it show up?
Yeah. Yeah, what? Create issue.
Okay, you guys can see that. Yeah, okay. That's what I was trying to be sure. Yeah, so this is one way of creating a story through that pop-up create here. Or you can also create a story down here, the bottom of the backlog, the bottom of every sprint. You can just click create issue and type whatever you want. You can select the type, a bug, a task, a user story. Let's assume we have a bug now. You can say user unable to log into OBA portal. Yeah, that's a bug. Somebody reported the bug. Now the product owner can rewrite that story. And this is sitting in the backlog. Let's say, oh, we don't have bandwidth. We're going to work on it in sprint 2. And you can drag it into sprint 2 bucket. So these are just talking about future sprints. Sprint 2 will not happen until 19th of May till 2nd of June. Sprint 1 is going to happen 5th of May to 19th of May. But the sprint starting tomorrow is 21st of April to 5th of May. So basically, this is just how to play around with sprint. Let's assume we're going to start our sprint now. We have 2 user stories in the sprint. All you need to do is click on start sprint. And the sprint begins. So it's trying to change the date since it was planned for the future, but the sprint is starting today. So yeah, I changed the date to today, 20th of April, because earlier I planned it for tomorrow. But I'm trying to start the sprint now. So you're saying we must change it to today. And that message should end there. So start. And that's what happens. So from backlog, it takes you to the active sprint. And see the 2 user stories there, showing it to do, in progress, and done. And this is your backlog. Backlog will show you the active sprint, future sprint, and the product backlog itself, the items of the product backlog itself. So it's pretty much these are the things that should really matter from a Scrum Master perspective, understanding how to create a sprint, how to complete a sprint. So at the end of this 2 weeks, you can hit complete sprint and it'll tell you, we'll give you some information here. But the sprint just started, it's telling you how many days are left of the sprint. So we don't have to complete it. We have to wait till the end of the sprint before we hit complete. But as a Scrum Master, this is how to complete the sprint. Once you go to the end of the sprint, you just click on complete sprint and it will take you to reports. Reports is where you can see your burn down chart, burn up chart, sprint report, velocity chart, correlative flow diagram. I've never used control chart before. I've never used release burn down, but so many charts. I think the most important things are the burn down chart, sprint report, and velocity chart. Right now, there's nothing to see because we've not completed any sprint. But yeah, that's where you see reports under here. In Jira too, you can create dashboards. You can create filters, so search if you want to search for items, but we don't have a lot of stories in the backlog for us to even search for anything. But sometimes you might be in a company that you guys have thousands of user stories and you want to filter by certain types of stories, maybe by people, by project, by type. Maybe it's a bug, you want to check all the bugs that has been opened in the last 90 days and things like that. You use filters to search for things like that. You can decide, okay, what is the project? What type of story are you looking for? Looking for just user stories? In what status? To do item. And to show you all the user stories that are in to do. If I wanted to search for bugs only, how many bugs are in the system? I select bug. See, it showed me just the bugs. So this is how to use filters as well. And the dashboard. I think someone asked me a question today that how do you search for people in Jira? I remember if you're on the call, this is probably what they were talking about. I've never used it before because I don't search for anybody, but I know someone was asked that question at an interview. And this person telling me on the phone today. So probably this is how to search for people in Jira. And so of course, if you're working in a company, then there'll be a lot of people that use Jira. And this is how you can find people. These apps are if you connected to third-party apps, so it's not relevant. Dashboards also is a default dashboard. When you log in, it shows you what is happening, what active projects, what is happening, all of the updates I did. So there's an activity stream. You can customize this dashboard people create fancy dashboards that show maybe their burn down charts. They want to see the burn down charts, so you can add widgets. One of the widgets could be a burn down chart or gadgets. Let's see. Burn down, yeah. So you can add a burn down chart to your widget. So yeah, so when as a Scrum Master, your team logs in, you'll see some of these chats easily. Again, when you join a company, they usually already have all of these things. But yeah, you can see days remaining in the sprints. You can do this too. Show button, show sprint name. So it gives you this thing. So when you log in now, every time you log in, it tells you how many days are left in the sprint. So dashboard just has opportunity for you to customize it, to add things. So when you log in, you can see some of this information. Let's say issues in progress. Let's see if I had this pie chart. Doesn't make any sense. Let's say it wants a filter. So yeah, let's do this. Yes, all these tools are available to free Jira. Yes, you can do this on free. My advice is to always go and watch videos on YouTube, whatever it is that you want to use. I think with Jira, they have an education library themselves that you can watch. Let's let me add this issues in progress. You see right now, it says you have no issues in progress, right? Now, if I go back to the board and I go to the active sprint and I push this item to progress now, let me push both items to in progress. 1, 2. If I go back to our dashboard, okay, so it wants me to add a filter. For me to be able to customize this, it wants me to add a filter. Edit, yes, configure. Issues in progress. Okay, so what it's supposed to do is supposed to bring out all the items in progress. I think I'm mistaking these two projects right now. It's probably fetching from the wrong project. Yeah, it's fetching from the wrong project. But anyways, it will show you the active items in progress. So whenever you log into your Jira, it will take you to your dashboard. This is the default one. But typically it'll take you to the dashboard. Most of these things will be configured by the company anyway. So but as Scrum Master, you should know how to use dashboards in Jira. Filters and dashboard are things that you should have a clue about as a Scrum Master. Learn how to create a dashboard and learn how to create filters. See, I created a filter that said filter by all items in progress. And I saved the filter. Maybe I need to make it public. View all filters. So I guess I made it private. That could have been a problem. It's not changing. Oh, I'm supposed to click on add. I'm not a Jira expert at all. So okay, editors is private, so maybe nobody else, but anybody in the organization can view it. Let me see now if it shows up here. It didn't show up. But yeah, this is Jira. Create a free account, play around with it. Anything you need to learn about it, go to YouTube, read about how to use filters in Jira. This is quite important to know from an advanced standpoint because of course we do the basic things. But what happens when you join an organization that 50 teams are using the same Jira and your own team has their own team page, but you're trying to find things. So you want to understand how to use filters. You want to understand how to use dashboard. We saw the team one. You can start a team, arrangers, and then within Jira, you can have a team, right? You can ask when your product owner is writing stories. I shouldn't have created two projects. Confusing me now. You can, I think a user story, you can assign it to a team. All of this customization, you can learn this one from your own personal Jira. But when you join the company, they're not going to give you the access to do all of this workflow, changing of workflows, things like that. They will not allow you to do all of these changes. But what they're basically telling you is that you can change the workflow, you can add a step to it. Some companies do Epic, some people call it features. You can change the name from Epic to feature. You can draw a workflow to do in progress, to do done in progress. You can move it about. So in progress must happen before to do and things like that. But these are advanced Jira stuff. Again, you can learn all of these things on YouTube. Create a free account, go on YouTube, watch. Once you watch something on YouTube, pause, come back to the Jira, play around with it, keep playing around with, mess around with the free version till you feel comfortable. So that when you go to a company, you're not going to mess up that Jira by doing trial and error. Before you change anything when you get a job, make sure you have tried it with your free Jira first before you go and do any trial and error on a company's Jira. Because if you delete anything in Jira, you might not be able to find it again, and that could be issues at your job, at your company. So try not to delete anything. Always refer to your personal Jira, play around with it, try any approach, watch a YouTube video. There's too many videos out there. People who know how to use Jira. I don't know how to use Jira like that. I only do the basic things in Jira. But yeah, this is Jira. Let me show us Confluence now. So remember, when you get access to Jira, they'll give you access to Confluence as well. So let's go to Confluence. And Jira and Confluence are owned by the same company. They talk to each other. You can skip. Let's call it OBA. Yeah, this. So with Confluence, it starts with space, right? You create a space for your team. And in each space, they're what we call pages, right? So you start with a space. So I think our space that we created here is on becoming agile. Now under this space, we can start to create pages, right? We can create a page from using this plus sign here. And the sample pages as well. So some people document meeting notes, requirements, product owners would document requirements and things like that. But you know what, let me ignore that. Let's create a new page. And I can give this page a title. I can call it team roster. Team roster basically means who is who on your team, right? Too many tutorials, not interested. So you can create a table in Confluence. It's like Microsoft Word, right? Just again, Microsoft Word on the browser. I can create a table. And in the table, I can say team name. Team name, what am I typing? Title, email address. Say maybe Femi, title I'm the product owner. I guess it's me at sobia.com, whatever it is. Me. Developer. Me at sobia.com, things like that. So you can click plus here to keep adding. You want to add more people. So that way, you know, if you want to know who's on your team, it's a good practice to have a team roster, right? Who's on your team. Just think of any name I could think of. The Scrum Master. QA. This is a good practice to have a team roster, people on your team. And this is how to create it. You can add text below, above, say updated April 28th, and publish it. Now you have a page within Confluence for your team right here. Oh, so you cannot even delete in Confluence free plan. And then you can create a page within a page. So now I have team roster. So you can create another page. Let's say your team working agreement now. This is where team working agreements will sit, right? And this is where you can add people's name as well. So anybody in your team, you can add their name. Assuming we add people added to this, you can add their name and all the names will come out. And so this is present and talk about team working agreement 1. Always be present to all meetings. 2, do not speak over each other. 3, respect every decision, even if it's contrary to mine. Teamwork I mean, things like this show up in the team working agreement, right? You can publish it. So you can see now your team has team roster within Confluence, you have team working agreement, things like that. So you can always come back and edit it. This is the pencil and edit the page. Maybe somebody left, you can come here and clear the name or things like that. Close or publish, stuff like that. So these are things that we can do. Let's see. I think you can create a retrospective within Confluence. So let's add a page. And there are templates. So you can set it as a retrospective template, retrospective, exactly. So you just choose that template. See, so it came up with templates. So you put the date of the retro. Let's say today was a retro, April 20, 2022. Team members, team Avengers. Remember I said you can add the people on the team. So whoever was available for the retro that day, add their name. Once you add their name to bring out all the team members' name there. Things like that. So everybody there, we're there. You can start talking. We're gonna start doing start code review. Stop bringing stories in the middle of the sprint. This is a retrospective template. Start, stop, keep. Or technique. Keep going. Keep celebrating each other. Maybe Scrum Master action items, whatever action items we talked about. You can say at whoever that person is going to be responsible for the action item. Say at Femi will ensure team attends retrospective always. Whenever the action item is complete, all you need to do is come here and check it and show up. So anyways, you can publish it. Or the page doesn't need the title. So it's a retrospective. April 2022. And you can start documenting your retrospectives in Confluence as well, right? So this is basically Confluence. Your developers can have their own page too. You can call it documentation, dev documentation. See, here we will document all our approaches. Sorry, I see a lot of messages in the chat. So once publish, share with everyone. Only your team members have access to the page, right? You can lock a page. You can make restrictions to a page. So let's say this is your developer's phone. You can move things up and down, so it's intuitive like that. No, I wasn't supposed to move this. So let's bring it as a page on its own. And then I move it inside here. No, it should be a standalone page on its own. Exactly. So now could be a parent page. So within this dev documentation, I can add pages under it. See, it says create a child page. So maybe developers are working on something, API for PayPal, and they can start documenting all their jargon, their access code, and you publish. So within dev documentation now, we have API for PayPal. They can also create another page within there, a child page. We'll say credentials for testing, and you put all of that. So within this dev documentation now, you can collapse it, you can expand it. You can see all the documentation here. So this is how teams build a Confluence page. Before you know it, you have so many pages, You can create a parent page and call it definition of done. Team's definition of done sits here. And then here you see you have your definition of done. You can move it to the front. No, I don't want it inside. So you can even drag it inside the child page, but you don't want that. So you want it to be a parent page on its own. And you can create definition of ready. So all of these things. So when your team, this is what we call transparency, right? So all of this is open. Everybody in your team should have access to the Confluence. So when a new team member joins, you guys can even have onboarding documents, new team onboarding. Onboarding, whatever. Find. You need to request Jira access. Definitely have Jira access for them to have access to the Confluence. You request dev environment. So it could be request company ID card. Requests corporate credit card. So basically, this is where any new team member can come and see requests. Let me see which technical term I can use. Request.net, Docker, server, blah, blah, blah. So basically, when you have a new team member, you can always send them to this onboarding page, all right? Let them go to the onboarding page to get the information they need and things like that. So the Confluence page is not managed by the Scrum Master. Anybody can manage a Confluence page. But the Scrum Master, you should understand, if your company uses Jira, again, this is only specific to companies that use Jira. If your company you're working with use Jira, 9 out of 10 times they're using Confluence as well. So this is where you guys will document everything, right? Developers should be documenting everything about technical approaches or analysis or whatever they're working on. And Scrum Master, you can use it for your team working agreements. You can also document your retrospectives here. If you use an external tool, you can always come there and document it. So every retro, come here, you can take a screenshot of the external tool or export it to Excel or PDF. You can always bring it here, right? So you can, you can use a retrospective template. You don't have to use a template as well. You can just use a blank page, right? You don't have to use a template. You can use a blank page. I'll give it a name, retro, May 5, 2022. You can even upload, add attachments. You can link pages. You can attach a document to this page and things like that. Let me see. To attach. You can attach this. So I attach a document here. So if you're working, if you use an external tool for your retro, you can always come here and save it here, right? You can attach a screenshot, you can attach a document, Microsoft Word, PDF, and things like that. So you can always have your retro documented. It's a good practice. So those are things we do in Confluence. Document retro, document our team working agreement, document our definition of done, definition of ready. You can have a team roster. You can also have a page, team calendar. I think there's even a template for that. Calendar. Oh, the out of office. There's even a daily stand-up template. Nobody should be documenting stand-up, but anyways, just trying to say you can document stand-up as well. And every day of the week, you can have a template like that and call it daily stand-up. What I was looking for was the calendar. So when your team members are going on holiday, this is where they can also always put in their out of office. I don't know what it's called, team calendar. Actually, calendar. Maybe that's another name. If not, I think maybe you can insert the calendar in here. So insert the date. Oh, I don't know. Maybe not date, I don't know. Well, there should be a way you can insert. Oh, the way you can insert a team calendar that you would know when. You know when your team can, if someone's taking a vacation, you know, as a scrum master, you want to know people's planned out of office, right? So you want to ensure that anytime someone has a vacation plan, they come here to document it and things like that. I believe there's a template for that. Just cannot find it. You can document your one-on-ones. I never seen this template before. One-on-ones. Again, I don't think you should document your one-on-ones, but I'm also learning. I'm saying that they have different templates, so you can document one-on-ones. So I don't think it's necessary. You don't have to do that. What I was looking for was that team calendar because I know that's been very helpful. You just tell your team members to go to Confluence and put in their planned out of office. Because as Scrum Master, you want to know who's planning to take time off, who's available this sprint, who's available next sprint, who's not available, especially when too many people are taken out of office. So when they all go into the team calendar, they'll be like, oh, okay, this person has already applied, so maybe I cannot take this date because everybody cannot be out at the same time. I just cannot find what the thing is called, what that template is called. All right, maybe it's not the free Jira, maybe we have to download it, but yeah, a free Confluence, I mean. But this is Confluence. Again, once you create a free Jira account, you get access to Confluence as well. Of every page you create, you see it on the left. Working agreement, definition of done, onboarding documents, your team roster, things like that. These are things that we document in Confluence. And these are the two tools that are important. So Marty, you say you have it on your team. You have a team calendar in your Confluence, right?
Yes. So I don't know if it came with the paid one or it was configured, but yeah, we do have it.
It's most likely not on the free version. It's called team calendar, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not here. It's not a free version. Yeah, but it's a helpful tool. How do you use it?
Yeah, I heard you say people go there to put their time off. No, I put it in once they notify me on Teams. I can't rely on them to go there and do it. No. They just send me a calendar request. I mean, an out of office request on Teams, block out their calendar, and I just put it in there. I also put in holidays.
You shouldn't be doing it for them at all.
Please.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't be doing for them. Anybody that has planned time, well, that's why you should have a team page, right? So you guys have a team
We
page.
do. Yeah, we do.
So if someone's trying to get out of office, the first thing you should do is put it in the team page. That way we'll know if so many people are trying to live at the same time, people are going on holiday at the same time, because everybody on the team cannot be out at the same time, right?
True, only 50%.
Exactly. So you want to ensure that people are putting in the time off, and then other members can see for visibility. You shouldn't be you updating it based on them telling you, because the same effort they use in telling you in Teams is the same effort they need to just go into this page and add it, right?
Right.
So next time they do it, just copy and paste. Just where's it out of office? Or you just come to the browser, you copy this URL and paste it for them.
Send it to them.
And say, yeah, go and put it in there, right? So
Okay.
that's what you should do. You don't want to be doing that manual work for them. As a Scrum Master, you don't do everything for your team. You lead them, coach them, and guide them, but you don't do everything for them. But yeah,
Okay.
this is Confluence. Play around with Confluence. So many videos online. But again, only organizations that use Jira will use Confluence. So we know that Azure DevOps is rising fast. A lot of companies are using Azure DevOps. Companies are using version 1. Companies are using Rally. I think version 1 Rally, most companies will still use Confluence because it doesn't really have a documentation tool. Some companies use Microsoft SharePoint. SharePoint is, again, like Microsoft Word on a browser. You can create pages like a website, and create content and add it and things like that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show us today. I wanted to show us Jira and Confluence and how we can get a free account. Most importantly, anyone who's curious, create an account, play around with it. Right? Play around with it. You never can tell. It could be asked at an interview, they'll share that screen and tell you, what does this mean? What does that mean? Don't be naive, and then don't say you did not know, right? You have the opportunity. If you're listening on this call today, go and play around with it and equip yourself with that knowledge. And when you get on the job, which will be easier and you'll feel confident. I guess we can leave it open for Q&A. Anyone got questions? All right, Obi, you can go ahead. And please let's raise our hands if you want to ask questions. Let's use the raise hand feature. All right, Obi, go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Coach Femi. I know you showed the retro on Confluence, but is it a good idea really to publish your retrospective, the decisions and the fallouts from a retrospective? Because in my team right now, they've never published any in the organization. I just checked. They have never published any. Should I start it or I should just leave it? What do you think?
I can say yes, it's not a good practice to document your retro because people are speaking their mind, right? So retro is for the team, right? Scrum Masters, product owner, and developers. Now, if you guys want to complain or rant about someone else, and the person has access, but I know you can protect the page, restrict the page.
Okay.
See what it says, upgrade for page restriction. So this is a free plan. It says you're on the free plan. So anyone who's logged in can view and edit this page. You can set page restriction whereby only members on your team can see it.
Okay.
Right? But again, this is a free Jira. So on the paid one, you can restrict the page. So only your team members will have access to that page. So that way you're confident that nobody else is seeing your retro. Do you guys use Confluence in your job or your company?
We use both. We have a Confluence, but we use Azure DevOps, but we also have Confluence. We save things there.
Okay, yeah. So if Confluence is your source of truth, where you people save all your documentation and stuff, then yeah, you can definitely document your retro. Because where do you keep it right now? How do you refer to?
Nowhere.
How do you
it's only one retro I've had. I'm the first Scrum Master for the team, so everything is just fresh. We've had only one retro, and I just kept it, in my own private saving somewhere folder. So I haven't saved it anywhere.
Documented it. Yeah, it's good that you documented it, but give it a shot. Go and create a retro page, and see if you can lock it and give access to just your team members. But you cannot document it on your machine, on your own local laptop, because if your laptop crashes, you're going to lose everything.
Yeah.
Confluence, you don't lose anything because it's online, it's on the cloud, it's hosted somewhere. You're always going to have access to it, but you can restrict the page. I'm very sure of that one.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Mama T, go ahead.
The question is on Jira. I added a swim lane for, we had like to do, ready, dev complete, test complete, accepted and done. So I added testing so that we would be able to decipher when the stories are moved from dev complete to, and they're being tested. But there was no option for testing, you know, when you add it, right, and when you add that, the description. So it only says demo ready or something like that. So anyway, my question now, we're not able to move bugs into testing because they're bugs. We're able to move stories in there, but we can't move the bugs in there. Demo present. Is it because it says demo present?
No, it's because you have to configure a workflow. So after you create a column, what you did was a column, not a stream link. You created a column, and that's how I was just going there now, right? I was just see me walking through the steps, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
you go to your board setting.
It's, yeah.
Where did I find it again?
Yeah.
Or was it here? Yeah, here. I went
It's
to board
board
setting.
and configure. Yeah.
Board setting, yeah. And then I went to
Mhm.
column, right? Right now we have to do in progress and done. I can create a column and call it testing
Mm-hmm.
and add it. So now I have a testing column now, right?
Well, it must be the way ours is configured because you can't just do that. Once you create a column.
You need to also
Sorry.
work on the workflow, right? There's a workflow in Jira, and you might not have admin access. So you can create all of these columns, but your workflow
I
will
do.
not make sense. Your workflow will not make sense until you also fix the workflow. So
Okay.
workflow will say bugs can move through this stream, this column, and that column, and things like that.
Okay.
We'll go
All
back
right.
to active sprint now. Way. So if I go to this active sprint now, I have a testing column now. I can move it, but see that it's not allowing me to move now. Can you see?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It says something isn't letting us move. Did you read that message there? Check the
Yeah.
workflow
Yeah.
settings. That's what it's saying.
Yes.
Workflow settings, right? So you see, I
Yes.
can't go through set testing. So I just created a column, but I still need to go and fix the workflow to be
Right.
to allow user story to go through testing and done. So
Okay.
so this is for Jira admin people. So when you want to make changes like this, you need to find out who the Jira admin in your company is. Because
I have admin rights. I can do it.
okay, so yeah, so you can always go to your column here
So workflow. Mm-hmm.
and so your larger setting, I think here.
Okay.
No, not this one. Here, I think it's project settings. I believe this was it. What did I do again? Here, project settings, I believe. No. Okay, yeah, workflow here, exactly. This is it, workflow.
Okay.
And that way, is a way you can edit it to ensure that when people move tasks to in testing now, all of these things are also added,
Okay.
There's a way to do it, but I think you need to
Yeah,
go.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I just didn't know that's where I had to fix it. Okay.
so that
All
work.
right.
Yeah. So you need to
Okay.
add all of that so that whenever anything is going through testing,
Right.
it's showing in that workflow.
Okay. So you said, I'm sorry, someone's talking. So you said the columns are different from the swim lanes. We call it swim lanes.
But if you look at it in Jira, there's columns and there's stream lanes, right? Now, stream lanes is vertical, columns are horizontal. What am I saying? I'm sorry, columns are vertical, stream lanes are horizontal, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What is this? This is vertical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up to down is vertical. Then horizontal is this way, the one that goes
Right.
left to right. Exactly. So when you go to board setting, this is swim lanes and this is column. Now, stream lanes, you can customize what should be in your stream lanes, right? The row. Swim lane is a
okay.
row. Column is a column. Swim lane is a row. That's like Excel. We have rows and column.
Okay, right. Okay, it's different because we use Jira lines, so we call them swim
Some people,
lanes.
exactly. I was going to say some
As
people
they
use the
show.
name interchangeably too.
Right. Okay, thanks.
All right. Shay, go ahead.
Hi, so I was just gonna ask if this video was gonna be posted on OBA.
Now I won't put it on OB. I'll put it on YouTube, as you guys can check it out on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
All right, TJ, go ahead.
Hi everyone. My name is Abdulrazak. Please, I have a question. It's actually I wanted to ask if it is appropriate for a Scrum Master, right? Let's say, for example, you've been working with this team for months or year, right? And you have like let's say, for example, you have like a personal project. Do you feel like it's normal because you share some probably a personal relationship with your team, like you guys are good and stuff, and you feel like okay, they could be of help. Let's say, for example, you wanted to create an app, for yourself individually. It's not having anything to do with the company you're working with. Do you think it's advisable to kind of approach, your team member about it? I mean, it's actually not for free, but I'm curious to know if that kind of, culture is, good, or maybe Scrum Master, Scrum, ideology doesn't accept that. Thank you.
Who's gonna help answer that question? Can anyone answer that question? Fumi, are you there? I missed for the most part of the question. The internet was breaking, so I didn't hear you, TJ. I'm wondering if someone else heard and can answer the question. And if nobody can, TJ, can you repeat the question again?
This is Bintia.
Okay, Bincha, you want to help?
Yeah, I can answer this not from specifically a Scrum Master perspective, but I'm answering from conflict of interest perspective. You work with these people, they're not your personal friends. So if you have a personal project, you should do it completely outside the organization, because you're trying to foster a culture that might result in as something that is going to distract your team. That is my take on it from the risk management perspective.
Anyone else wants to add something to it? Messi says, personally, I'll keep my personal project out of work. I didn't really hear the question, but Ishta, go ahead, please.
Yeah, he was just asking basically that if he had a project where he wanted to build an app just as a Scrum Master, but he knows he works with developers, is it advisable to approach those developers to get them to help him with his app on the side? So I would agree with what Bintia is saying, and I would say it's like a conflict of interest, because imagine if you're working with them and then you approach them and then you decide, okay, they're going to help you with this app, and then something goes really badly down the way, then you guys still work together on a professional level in an organization. So that would be just really, just a really unideal situation, I would say. That's my personal take on it. I don't know, Femi, maybe you have something else to add, but yeah, I would not do that.
Definitely, I would definitely not do that. Also, I think one mistake we make, we don't read our employment contracts. There are so many employment contracts that say you cannot do anything outside of your employment. And many of us don't read the employment contract because it's 20 pages long. There's a lot of jargon that we just sign. We're excited we got the job. if you work with a consulting company right now, it's written in your contract that you can, anything you do as a side project, as a side hustle, as long as you're employed by that company, everything belongs to that company. I've seen people who were working in consulting companies that were creating startups on the side, and they ended up getting sued, right? Because companies believe that they're paying you for the time, you have access to their resources, and you're leveraging their resources for your personal gain. And they have an argument in court, and they will take that business from your hand, or they will sue you for some money. So be careful working on projects. Then you do to worsen your situation. You're not involving people in the company you're working for. I would never do it. I would never advise you to do that. So please. Exactly. Someone said, wouldn't that be conflict of interest? Some companies will see that as conflict of interest. Again, read your employment contracts. You'll most likely see it there. So TJ, was I able to answer your question?
Yes, I mean, I got a view. That's the reason why I have to just clear it. I mean, the view that I look at it is, let's say for example, I was not working with a company, and these individuals, okay, let's say, they are working with the company, but I guess if someone else out of the company approach them on a project that they're gonna pay them or something, they will probably take it. But for the fact that, maybe I am going to be working in the company, I mean, I understand that it might cause conflict of interest, but my question is actually even not, it's not even direct in the sense that they're going to be doing it for free. No, I was basically, asked in the sense that maybe, okay, at their leisure time, it's still like a added advantage since they're gonna get paid, for it. But I mean, I still get the whole thing because everything can still be twisted to conflict of interest. But I mean, thank you. I appreciate your contribution.
Yeah, awesome. Even if you're paying them still in court, you will lose that case if it's in your employment contract that you're not supposed to. You and the developers will definitely be sued. They could argue that you use the company resources to do the job, things like that. So you would lose. Do not do it. Just avoid it.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right, everyone's quiet today. All right, Easter, go ahead.
I'm never quiet. I was going to ask, earlier when you were in Jira and you were making the user stories, so is that where then the developers would obviously go in and, after they've assigned the tasks to themselves and whatnot, they would then have that option? Because I've seen there was a bit where it said task. So could they then make the task within that user story using the drop down like options in Jira? Like, is that how it works?
No, so in Jira, you create a subtask for a user.
Yes.
A task is standalone and acts like a story, but within a user story, you create what we call a subtask. So let me open that.
But then if you create a task, is there a way to connect it to a user story? Like you can connect the user story to the epic?
You know what? I don't even know why Jira uses that task. I feel like I think it's redundant, right? But you can look, what I was just trying to show you is that within the user story, you can create a subtask. So if a developer picks up this subtask, this user story, right? Multiple developers can work on this, right? It's called swarming. Now I'll create a subtask and say, develop password widget, and I'll create a subtask. Another person is going to work on it, see it's created a subtask, and I can make it in progress. I'm working on it. Another person could say, the keyword we're working on is test password login error, something like that, right? So you can create multiple subtasks, and it can be assigned to someone else, can be assigned to me. Assuming we had all people on this Jira, you see that I can assign to them. So if I'm the one working on this one, I'll assign it to myself. I'm the one working on it. QA could be working on this one, they'll assign it to themselves. So this is what you want to do. You want to create subtask within a user story.
So my follow-up with that, remember last week when we were having this conversation, I think it was Bodhi that brought it up, and we were talking about the way that it's structured, like epic, user story, task, subtask. Jira then in that sense confuses you because it's calling a task a subtask, right?
No, a task is like a user story on its own. And again, I don't know why they call it task, but you can create a task and say, maybe they feel like a task could be, as a developer, I want to set up my laptop. Maybe they look at it, that's not a user story. So you can make it a task, but it's an effort. So they want you to take credit for it so that I can code, right? And you can add a description to it. You can just copy and paste the same description, add it here. And you can even estimate a subtask, right? I believe. I don't know, estimate. You can even estimate the task, right? Or you can create a task and it's in blue, right? So tasks are identified using the blue color. Where is it now? I just created one now. Oh, look at it in this. I can bring it to the sprint. I brought it to the sprints, right? See, it's giving me this warning. Sprint scope will be affected because we started the sprint and we're bringing the story into the sprint. So it warns you, this is what we call scope creep or whatever. So you confirm it, right? So this is a task. So you can see this blue. A user story is represented by this green icon, right? So a task was created. And if I go to the active sprint, you'll see, where's the task itself? Okay, two other issues. So this is it. I can bring it to in progress. So we have one user story with two subtasks now. Can you see the two subtasks? And we have one task itself. So subtask has its icon. Can you see what the subtask icon is? And see what the task icon is. So there are two different things entirely. A subtask cannot stand by its own. A subtask will always be a child of a user story. A task can stand on its own. So there are two different things entirely.
Okay. I don't know why that kind of confused me there, because I thought that you break user stories down into tasks. So
No,
I think I'll become
subtask. Use
confused
the word
now.
subtask.
Yeah, I think that's why. Yeah, I think I was always calling it just like a task, but actually a task is different. Okay, yeah, thanks.
No, Shay, task cannot be
Yeah.
task cannot be referred to as user stories. No. Again, like I said, I don't know why Jira does this thing, but
Opened up a can of worms.
but a task could be non-valuable, like it doesn't add value to the sprint per se, or you don't demo it. Maybe you don't demo a task, right? A task could be set up an environment. You're not going to demo that. So user stories are items of value, increments, right? Setting up a laptop is a task that will take the developer's time, right? And you want to take credit for that. You want to make sure it's showing on the board that, hey, yesterday I worked on setting up my laptop. So it's showing on the board that this is what you're working on for transparency's sake, right? But every user story is a value that you demo, there's an increment. A task is just a task. This is something you have to do, like an enabler, or whatever they call it, right? So that's the difference. But again, I don't know why Jira put it up. I just never asked. Anything can be a child issue, but a child issue is just, it cannot be on its own, right? So an epic, it will be on its own, and the child of an epic is a user story. But its subtask cannot stand on its own. It's a child of a user story. The parent is a user story, the child is a subtask. That's what you do. That's the relationship. Parent-child relationship.
And then the user story is the child of the epic, because I've seen in your
Exactly.
OBA one, you created the epic as well.
Exactly.
Could you maybe show us how to do that? Yeah.
Same thing
And
here.
then
Create an epic. Build websites. All right, this is an epic, and then I'll now link the child's user stories to it.
in the description box as well, is that where you would put the acceptance criteria, right?
Exactly, yeah. And the description is where you now break it down. Let's say acceptance criteria. I am done when I'm able to log in, or whatever. The different ways of writing acceptance criteria. The best way is to say I am done when So that shows that what the end result looks like. And developers will test against that. Great. So now I created an epic. And if I open a user story, I can link it to an epic now. So you see it's epic link, and then see it shows up that there's an epic already created, and I've linked it to the epic. I can link this other one to an epic as well. Epic link and link it to this. And then you see immediately, you can see that this shows the epic here now. Now this forgot password does have an epic. Once I change it, watch how it will change here. And now it changes now, right? And now we can open the epic in itself and we can see the child issues. So where is it? This is it. This is an epic now. See children in the epic. Now the task user stories under this epic. Right, so when you create an issue in an epic, you can create a task, story, or bug. These are the child issues you can create in an epic. You can't create a subtask in an epic. A subtask is a child of a user story.
And typically, you know, because we're saying the PO obviously would come with the user stories written, you know, it's their responsibility. At what point would we ever see an epic on Jira? Like, is that something, would that ever come into our, you know?
Yep, you see a Jira epic here. All you need to do is, where is it again? Epics, yeah. So epics are always here.
But would he have created that, or she, like in their own time, and just kind of said this is the epic, but you know, on during product backlog refinement, like we would just discuss user stories.
Yeah, but an epic, remember, an epic is build a website. All these user stories are needed to build a website, right?
Yeah.
If you're done with all of these things, then we're done building the website. Then that epic is done. The next thing could be, another epic could be build a mobile app.
Yeah.
Right. So, and some people don't know, but all becoming agile, we have a mobile app. You know, I want to access OBA via my iPhone app or via an app. You know, some people don't want to use a browser all the time. They want to have an app. You're always logged in on an app. With a browser, you might have to log in. It might log you out. Or as an OBA member. Right. This is another epic I'm creating. Create that. And then I have two epics now. I have mobile app and I have built a website, right? And we can move in issues within this. I can create an issue and say I want a user story. I want to build, or I can just call it iOS. That's for Apple users. iOS app for Apple users. That's a user story. That cannot even be a user story. That's huge. That should be an epic on its own anyway. And Android users, because you cannot just build an Apple app with one user story, right? You need an epic for that, right? But let's assume this is epic now, an app, and then we have two user stories under that. You know, you can always go back here and you'll see your epic. So now we have two epics. You can collapse it. So we have OBA website and mobile app.
Okay, so is it possible that one team would be working, this is like such a confusing question, I'm gonna word it right. So is it possible that a team could be working on user stories in one sprint, like a bunch of user stories, say, that come from two different epics at the same time?
People do it. Well, I think that's where lack of focus comes in, right?
Yeah.
Do it, yeah, because when companies have multiple initiatives, right? And then maybe in one sprint, they have mobile app developers on that team. They have website developers, front-end developer, back-end developer. The mobile app developers will be working on the mobile app within that sprint. The front-end guys, people do it. It's not the best approach, but you see it happen. What's the difference? Someone's asking, what's the difference between epic and features? That's the same thing. Just in Jira, they call it features. They call it epic, I mean. And in other tools like Azure DevOps call it features, but they also have epics too. So also it's possible that, you know, I give an example now that build a mobile app could be a feature. If this was another website on its own, right? And maybe I need to open that now, if it's possible. Azure.com.
I actually have one opened.
You want to share your screen? So you want to show us how Azure DevOps shows feature Epic. So let's say the feature will be build a mobile app, then the Epic will be iOS, right? And then user stories within that. You want to share your screen for me?
Yeah. So this is ADO. This is the board. Board shows you all the stuff in the product backlog. You can create a new item, work item here. So you could do board epics features. So this is Epic. I'll create a new Epic.
1 second. So in Azure DevOps, is Epic a parent of a feature? Which one is the parent? Which one is the child?
Epic is the parent.
Okay,
Feature is
so
the child.
Epic feature, then user story.
I can user stories like that. The way it's aligned. Hold on. Cancel. Discord changes. So here, the way it's aligned right here, Epic features, issues, task, user stories.
No, this cannot be the
Oh, no,
hierarchy.
it's not hierarchy. So
Yeah,
Epic first, then the features, then the user stories.
Maybe you can go in the settings and let's see. Go to project settings. Let's see if they show us that relationship.
Teams main notification, project configuration. No. Teams. No, I don't think it actually puts Teams permission. Let's see. Nope.
Yeah, but anyways, I guess yeah. So it's the look at it, your hand. Look at it.
Oh yeah, right here. Epic's features and stories.
Exactly. So that is the level. So Epic senior to a feature in the story. So, but in Jira, there's no breakdown between Epic and features. And Epic is the same as a feature. Again, this is Azure DevOps. I don't know why they created this, but 99% of the time, an Epic is the same as a feature. Just to answer your question, Chinwe. Was that Chinwe that asked that question? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, how do you guys?
Because I was wondering, I know like in my company in Jira Line, they used to say features, but like Jira, you're just saying epic. So I was not wondering, so is it different?
Yeah.
But
so
yeah, thank you for
Jira
clarifying.
Align, exactly. So Jira, I've never used Jira Align. I don't even know what it looks like. So these companies just want to confuse us, but don't worry, we'll always understand it.
Thank you.
Too much stuff, yeah. But yeah, most of the time, Epic is the same as a feature. Sometimes you hear themes, so companies will call it themes too, and all of that. It's just too many things. But yeah, for me, stop sharing, right?
I think ADO has teams, no, initiative actually.
Initiatives. And again, you can also customize these things. You can get in a company where they will change the project settings and they call it what works for them. I've seen places where a feature was the parent and Epic was the child, because they used to use a different tool before they moved to Azure DevOps, and they wanted to continue to follow that consistency, and they didn't want to change their way they were doing it. So they flipped the way Azure DevOps does it. And that could be confusing for someone who comes in fresh to a company and see, how are you guys doing it here? But yeah, most of the time, an Epic is the same as a feature. And I gave an example. In this Azure DevOps example now, a feature could be, I want to build a mobile app, right? That is big. That's a big initiative, right? You can't build a mobile app with one user story. You need multiple user stories, right? Now, if you want to break it down, you want to build a mobile app. What type of mobile app? You want to build for iPhone users, you want to build for Android users. You cannot build a mobile app for iPhone users with one user story. So what will happen is you want to create that feature, which is a mobile app, and then create two epics under it. One of the epics will be built for iPhone users. The other epic will be built for Android users. Then you can start breaking down those epics to user stories. So Android users, you have its user stories. iPhone users, you have its user stories. I think that's the best example I can give.
Coach Femi, just to add to what Coach Fumi said, like where I work, they use like the initiate followed by capabilities. Then before you start having features, then user stories and all of that follows it. And they have that on the board.
You see your own company have capabilities initiative. We will hear different things. Some people say strategic things. Some people call it themes. Some people call it whatever. Just too many things. But when you go to the company, that's why I said you must ask questions. You must see how the processes are done because it could be different wherever you have. But at least everyone gets the basic understanding. And the tools that we see today, Jira will start with Epic, from Epic to user story to subtask. Azure DevOps goes from feature to Epic to user story and multiple items like that. So yeah, Ebele, go ahead.
Okay. My question has to do with when creating the Epic, is there a way we can link it to the roadmap? Because I know most times they get all of that is already in the roadmap. So if a stakeholder is asking where are we, and he wants to see which epic of the roadmap, is there a way he can just click it and it takes him to where it is on the board?
I mean, in Jira, yes, there's roadmap. So this is an example of the roadmap right now, right? The roadmap is broken down by epic too, right? As you can see. So if we really set a roadmap, look at it, showing us the sprints, and it shows you the stories within the epic, right? So if we're done with this user story, or we're done, and it lets us know if we're done with this situation, whatever is going on in the next situation and all of that. So by default, the tool will do it for you through a roadmap.
Oh, okay. I thought the roadmap is created before the epic creation.
No. What is the beginning of a roadmap? A roadmap is show what's ahead. And if anything is ahead, then an epic is the most important part of a roadmap. What are we trying to achieve? We're trying to build a mobile app. We want to break it down to user stories, but we need the epics first. So a roadmap just shows us that maybe by July, we'll be done with this epic, right? So a roadmap just shows you the months ahead, what's ahead. And maybe the goal is to be done by September. Now we want to see the breakdown. Is it possible that we're going to meet September based on, start asking questions about the team's velocity, how many teams do we need and things like that. So the roadmap is just a guide.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. FT, can you ask a question? Let's raise our hands so that we can hear this question and let's ask this question and we can respond.
Oh, I did not raise. Did I raise my hand? I actually wrote a question in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead and ask a question.
Okay, what I said, I already put in the chat. What I wanted to say was that regardless of the nomenclature that any company uses, whether it's a peak or whatever, the most important thing is that at every day is when we get to user stories, we're going to start the real work. So when you get to a company, the first thing you want to know is how do they operate? What is their modus operandi?
Correct, exactly. Because we don't estimate epics in story points, right? User story is what we estimate. And that's how we get our team's velocity and things like that. So user story is actually the most important aspect. Of course, we want to understand how a user story, where it's tied to, and what value does a user story bring, right? And that's why we create epics and features and all of that, right? We want to know, okay, we're building this user story. What is the end goal? And the end goal is usually that feature, right? You're trying to build a house. There's no point making kitchen and there's no bedroom, right? So that house is not complete without all of that. But a kitchen is a feature, bedroom is a feature, living room is a feature. Sorry, story. I mean, kitchen is a user story, bedroom is a user story. All of those things will build a house, which is a feature or the epic. So yes, the user stories are more important than anything. The feature is just the end result, but the user stories are more important to get to the end result.
Thank you.
Ishta, go ahead.
Hi again. So, since we're kind of on that topic today with Jira and everything, so you're saying like typically if a company had Jira, maybe they use Confluence, but like, is there another kind of pairing? Like if someone uses like Azure DevOps, like do they use something else, or can every company be completely different in the documents that they use? Like not the documents, in the tools, sorry, that they use in terms of like the tracking, maybe with the video conferencing, with the whiteboards, and could it be completely different for every company, or are there things that are typical like Jira, Confluence, whatever kind of I don't know if that's clear, that question.
No, you asked a valid question because someone I said to this morning, someone earlier on the call today, Obi, she said in a company they have Azure DevOps and they have Confluence. Now that company is spending money, and maybe because they used to use Confluence and before they moved to Azure DevOps, and now, or they use Jira, sorry, but they decided to maintain Confluence. So they stopped paying for the full service. They say, okay, we don't want Jira anymore, but we still want to maintain Confluence because we don't want to migrate all our repository, our documents, and all of that, right? And there's some companies that will use Microsoft Teams and Zoom. To me, it's redundant, but they have their reasons, right? They have the budget, they have whatever it is. Maybe they signed a 5-year contract with Microsoft. They can't get out of that contract. So they'll continue to maintain Teams. While they're new to Zoom, they prefer Zoom. These are some questions that we have to ask why. But it's not uncommon to find a company using Azure DevOps and maintain Confluence. Even though Azure DevOps has its own wiki that you can document stuff, you don't have to have Confluence at the same time, right? But then again, some people might not like wiki. It looks very random and basic. So they were like, okay, you know what? Confluence makes more sense. Confluence is more intuitive. We can hide pages in Confluence. We can hide this in Azure DevOps. Every company have their reasons behind everything.
So wait, has Azure DevOps got that built in?
Yes, that's it now. Wiki, yes.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Zoom is demoing it now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's just a company policy and processes. Most of the time, I think they're tied to long-term contracts, so they can't just get out of it. So you see them use redundant tools, same tools, and they'll be maintaining both. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for me.
Thank you.
All right, we have 8 minutes. Seems like people don't really have questions today. Maybe no parking lot today. We should vote. Parking lot or no parking lot. All right, from me over to you. Thanks everyone. And glad to show something today, even though our guest speaker didn't make it. I hope someone was able to learn something today. Please post your questions in the chat. If you are lost, confused, please ask questions and reach out to me too. Always ask questions, please. Do not keep anything to yourself. There's nothing like a stupid question. Post your questions in the group. Reach out to me privately. We're here to support you. Take care, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. We have 7 more minutes. I don't think we're having parking lot today. However, I did post some link for Jira from YouTube. I posted it on the chat. If you don't need it now, you can save it because you don't know when it will be handy. And just practice. Azure DevOps also has a free version. We do have a video of ADO that Ademori showed the last time she did. So please practice. You don't know which one your company is going to use. They're pretty similar. It's just a few different things. Like we just showed, there's Wiki here for Azure DevOps. There's Confluence for Jira. There's dashboard on Jira. So many things that are kind of similar. It's just different platform, different names. So we have 6 more minutes. All right, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you want to take advantage of no stupid question.
Yes.
So for those of us that are new, we are still beginning the course. No exam yet. So, and all these things sounds like Greek. So I think my concern now is probably to take note of this, and be happy to be in the group. I think my question is, should that be a good concern, or I'm expected to do more than that?
What exactly is the concern? I don't get it. You said it's what? Like sounds like Greek. What sounds like Greek exactly? Are you following the process?
Yeah, I'm following the process, but I see that I'm not there yet. I'm still.
And that's fine. Don't overwhelm yourself, right? Everybody was not there yet, right? And then subsequently, it started making sense. As long as you understand the basic concept of Scrum, Agile, we'll get to the point of the tools, right? But understand the concept first. And when you start seeing the tools, you'll see how everything is interconnected, right?
Okay,
Don't overwhelm
that
yourself.
exactly.
But everybody is getting there. Everybody has announcing their job. Where once like you, they came in new, they didn't know it. But one thing is that we follow the process. Watch the videos, ask questions when something's not clear, and then we're here to support you. So don't overwhelm yourself. One day at a time.
Good. Thank you.
All right, Tuka. But there's no way they will mention Jira. You'd have heard it before. That's a good thing that you've learned today.
Yeah.
You know it's a
Yeah.
tracking tool. So.
Yeah.
Tommy, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. So I have two questions. My first question is, how do you stay busy if you have a team that there's literally nothing to do? You've scheduled one-on-ones, you've had training sessions, but there's still nothing to do. You are doing your continuous learning. How do you then justify that time at work? Like, do you schedule meetings with yourself at work and act like you're in a meeting, or how do you stay busy at work? That's my first question. Then the second question is,
let's do one at a time so we don't forget your question. All right.
Okay.
Working Scrum Masters, how do you stay busy on the job? 2 minutes insights. Wow. Nobody stays busy.
I'm sorry, can I come in?
Please do.
The reason I actually, wanted to answer that was, during one of my interviews, the interviewer asked me, okay, so what do you do? What do you do daily after the daily Scrum? And I was like, but afterwards, I think Mama T gave me the idea and she gave me a link. So basically, I would say, tracking dependencies, throwing time into product owner calendar, trying to get out, subsequent features or user story work on it together, scheduling meeting with the I would say with the developers, asking them, if they have any impediments, what can we do, and also I will say, throwing time into the stakeholder calendar as well. Asking them, what can I do better?
I don't agree with that part. I take that part out, KP. Stakeholder.
Okay, with the stakeholder.
I take that part out.
Okay.
It now depends. No, stakeholder. I don't agree with that part.
All right. So basically, continuously be throwing time into people's calendar on how to, how we can get better. If there's a way I can help him out. So basically, with the development team as well, always asking them, if they're having any impediment, the way forward and stuff like that.
All right. Thanks for sharing, KB.
You're
Who
welcome.
else?
Okay, so before anybody else answers, maybe I can give insights because I have only 4 developers that work on my team 3 that work on my team 100%. There's only so much time I can put on their calendar.
True.
Even when I put with my product owner, I can't be having meetings with them every day.
True. I agree.
Yeah. So, and I don't want it to be redundant where it's like I'm just having unnecessary meetings and they don't have dependencies. Their impediments, I can chase them down in like 5 minutes. So what else? I know I'm studying, I'm doing all of that, but how do I put time at work that shows that I'm working? I need busy work at work. If that makes sense.
Wait, what I have a question before those that are going to add 2 cents to it. My train of thoughts just ran. Damn. All right, Mama T, are you adding to Tommy or you have a question? Which one? Before I know who to pick.
So you said you disagree with the stakeholder meetings. The Scrum Guide says that we facilitate stakeholder collaborations. You know that, right? But anyway.
Throwing time on stakeholders' calendar.
No, 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 absolutely not.
That's what I disagree with. That's exactly what I disagree with.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But what you can tell me, it depends on your, okay, so you're working, I take it. It depends on your organization and it depends on the day of the week. Sometimes after stand-up, you may not have any meeting till later in the day, but I've never gone one day without having at least one meeting. So I have stakeholder meetings that I attend. And I have, we have Scrum of Scrums with scaling, and we have COP meetings. We have two, actually. We have one with the organization, we have one in our department. And then we also have ad hoc meetings that they're pulling you into. And sometimes the developers are working on something and maybe they have a dependency, or they're just finding a lot of bugs, or they have a technical debt they're working on. We have channels on Teams. This is for deployment. Today, for example, we were supposed to deploy something today. We couldn't do it. Then, boom, they just scheduled a call real quick. Let's talk about it. What's going on? Well, we're finding a lot of issues in affiliate channel services we can't deploy. So those, you're pulled in here, you're being pulled here and there. But as for things you can schedule coaching sessions. It's not going to be every day. And it's not every day that you're busy. Look, no employer thinks you're working 8 hours a day or 6. 24, for the whole week. I don't think it's not feasible. There are you're gonna have downtime, and that's when you do your continuous learning, but you will be checking in on your teams. I'm also watching the emails as they're coming in. We have some of our stakeholders that we have SLA with. Within 2 hours, we have to respond to their emails. So the developers are busy developing, the emails are coming in. I am keeping track of the emails. I'm watching them. Oh, guys, did you see that email from Amazon? Please, you need to respond. It's been 2 hours. So you're constantly watching your laptop. Your manager can ping you. Somebody can ask you a question. Don't make them think you're not working. I am working. That's just all I'm going to add.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I'm working and I had like a check-in with my PO. And he's like, oh, you're doing amazing. I like everything that you're doing. But because I have only one team, I literally have only 3 developers on my team, which is amazing. But he's like, I'm scared that you're not busy enough. I don't want you to be bored, which I know is shade. He's just trying to say we're paying you to do nothing. But I just wanted to know.
You're not doing nothing. You can't compare your company or the team you have with Mama T's team. It's not possible.
Exactly.
You can't compare the team you have with my team. One team, we're 14.
See?
So your organization is different. This is what I would say. Do you know what they're working on?
Yeah.
How well do you know what they're working on?
So that leads to my next question. So because I'm trying to know what they're working on, and we just got 2 new people that are hired, and they're still like working together with the developers that are there. I want to schedule like a knowledge transfer session so that way I also know what they're working on, because half the time they're talking, all I'm hearing is MFA, Azure DevOps, AWS, and that's all I'm hearing. And I'm just like, yes, and that's it. But I want to do knowledge transfer so that, everybody is on the same page and we know what we're doing. So what exactly am I supposed to prepare for a knowledge transfer session? I reached out to like the senior developers there, just 2 of them, and I let them know like, okay, this is what I want to do. What do you think is something of value that you can bring? And then I reached out to the other developers to ask them, what is something that you would like to learn? And everybody's like, oh yeah, it will be a valuable session. Well, what do you want to, I don't know where to go from there. I know it's going to be valuable, but I want to know what to expect or how to prepare for the session.
First of all,
sorry, before yours will be paramount. Let me just add my 2 cents. So funny that you brought that up. We just hired a new developer, and I'm basically like, he's trying to get his access. This is the 3rd sprint we started today, and he wasn't able to get his access. So they're transitioning our developers from one platform to another. So he came in during that transition period, and it's even more difficult to transition those who are existing to that platform. So talk less of him just coming in, right? So So we're in that struggle, and I am escalating because he's trying. Every morning when we come on, he comes on early. Titi, I'm like, okay, after stand up, we'll talk about it. I am calling the manager, I'm calling this person, I'm escalating on his tickets and all that stuff. That's another one for new hire. However, I lost 3 of my most knowledgeable developers. So two of them were let go. One of them is still with the organization. So I scheduled a knowledge transfer with her. Okay, before we lose you, so please come do a knowledge transfer with the 3 that I have left. I only have 3 now. So what you do, or what I did, was I scheduled the meeting, and then she came on and told them, okay, this is what we will be talking about. I'm going to walk you through from when you start a story and walk you through affiliate channel services or whatever, and the APIs that you need to call and Voyage and everything. She was saying all that. I don't think you necessarily have to bring anything, but I also asked them, look, guys, can I record this? And they were like, yeah, so I recorded it. So now it's on my wiki page. So if anybody wants to, like this new guy wants to get this access, he can go back there and do a refresher and listen to it. So those are the things you can also put on the table. But I don't think you as a Scrum Master is bringing anything to their knowledge transfer as developers. That's just my thoughts.
And that's very correct. That's what I'm going to say. It's technical. You're not going to do anything. Yours is to bring them together. The senior developers already know what they're going to train them on, since the guys are completely new. However, for yourself, if you join that technical session, you're not going to understand anything they're going to talk about, because you don't even know what they're talking about to start with. This is what you do. Speak to a senior developer or someone you can talk to and say, hey, I'm going to throw time on your calendar every week, 30 minutes. Walk me through layman. What are we doing? What is this? Walk me through your process. That's already another 30 minutes of knowledge sharing. For you, layman terms. They will show you the platforms that you have. They will explain to you in layman terms. If you're in a technical session, because they are more technical, they understand those terminologies, you will struggle. Even if you're there, you'll probably be dozing at the end of the day, but you're there. So if you do throw in 30 minutes on someone's calendar every week, it can be a continuous, maybe for a month, see how it is. You could try the first 30 minutes. The first one, you still need it. Second one, you still need it. Third one, if you don't need it anymore, you can cancel. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you could do is do not stick to just your team. Don't stick to just your team. The organization as a whole. There's some terminologies that they have. Go to the wiki page or the Confluence page, read. What are the back ends that you guys are using? Do you know it? What are the front ends that there's always documentation. You just need to ask. What are the things that you guys are, what is the architecture that you guys are using? Because at the end of the day, all these things match up together. We talk about cloud. Are you guys using cloud? I heard you say AWS, that's cloud. Is that the only cloud platform you have? And from time to time, companies are always migrating. That's one part of it. Another part of it is try to know what they're doing on other teams, other Scrum Masters. I know you have maybe 2 or 3. What are they doing on their own team? Schedule time with those ones, 30 minutes. You're just inquisitive. You want to know what's going on. Time is going. You block off your calendar every day, 2 hours for study. What you want to study is up to you. But yes, it's something that will bring value to you and the organization as a whole. Because when you start to understand how the architecture works for your team, it will put you in a better position to understand how they work. For example, developers, they pick up a user story. What happens to that user story? What is the first stage on that user story? They analyze it. The different platforms, you hear different things that they use. They'll talk about it. When he leaves the developer and he's done doing the code, does he do unit testing? Is that allowed? When he's done with his unit testing and he raises a PR, pull request, code, that's code review. How many people on the team needs to approve that PR? If that that card is staying in your review column for too long, what is going on? You can ask questions. I've seen that this PR has been sitting here for like a whole day, or it's been sitting here for 2 days. What is going on? But if you don't know that process, you're just going to be like, you just go for daily stand-up every day, you listen to them, it goes. You're not in tuned in it. But when they see that you want to know, you're inquisitive, you really want to know what's going on, you're the one scheduling this time yourself, it makes a difference because you become a better person too. They start pulling you into technical things, thinking that you're already technical because they've started to explain how they work. So that way you're able to ask the right questions. So when you're doing active listening at stand-up, you're able to ask, oh, so this card has been, what is going on? And I'll give you an example. Today, one of my developers, they pulled a new card. What is going on? I'm like, but you worked on this same type of card last spring. What happened? And then he gave me a that to say, okay, no, the AC needs to change for this. Something happened on this. But because I paid attention to the first one, I knew what was going on. I can ask that question and not look stupid. So, Tommy, there's so many things you can learn. I know you're learning Scrum, fantastic. On the side, be listening to podcasts, but go to those documentation, work on them, read them, schedule time with your developers. After this, once they get comfortable with you, they'll be the one to tell you, so this card has issues. They will send it to you, the link. So Tommy, this card has issues. We've tried to do X, Y, Z. It's not working. And that takes me back to Mama T. Mama T, look for someone in your IT. Don't wait for manager again. No. Look for someone in IT that you can talk to, that can help push that guy's ticket forward.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we've been past that one. Yeah. We've been past that one, dear. Yeah.
And that's an impediment.
They're working on it, though. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
So that's an impediment that it will happen. Yeah. It will definitely happen. A manager will forget to put in access. They will forget, or something will happen. They will need to create a ticket for it. You'll be the one to say, don't worry, I'll fast track this for you. You will knock on every door until somebody answers you.
Right. All right.
So Tommy, there's a part for Scrum, but there's a part for also knowing what the organization is really doing. It will take you a while to get there, but you will get there. Block 2 hours on your calendar, study. Just block it so they know that you are busy that period. You can't have one-on-one with them you can't do this every day. Your PO sync too, because I think I saw someone write PO sync there. Have a PO sync too as well. How is your backlog looking? Is it healthy? The cards that have been there, have they been sitting down there for a long time? Is it something they need to review? See that work is getting plenty for you. So that's a few things I think you can do.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Ijoma or Ebele, are you guys adding to Tommy's question, or you have your own question?
I have mine.
Okay.
I wanted to ask about Kanban, how important it is for us to master it. Do we need top level mastery? I'm still new, still trying to get through to module 4, but I just came across it and it hasn't been mentioned that much. So I was wondering, like, is this something that's really, really important?
Oh, yes.
Pardon me, it's a basic question.
Yes, it is. It's important too as well for you to at least know about it. There are a few Scrum Masters here in the house who have Kanban teams. So yes, it is important. Wait, Bolaji, is Bolaji still on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Bolaji, is your team Kanban?
Yes, yes.
So
yeah, my team is Kanban.
So Ijoma, Bolaji's team is Kanban. Torore had a Kanban team too as well that she was working with. I don't think she works with.
Do we have any material on that on the platform, or I have to just go dig out something myself?
I think we do have a few materials on it, and I can also send you some of the videos that I have on Kanban.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Ebele, go ahead.
So my question is a follow-up to the one Yinka posted on the WhatsApp group, build and run teams. Scrum teams typically build and run, because I remember I asked about deployment and like the process and how we Scrum Masters come in, and the answer was, it's not really our portfolio. So I just wanted to confirm, because Yinka is of the opinion that all Scrum teams should normally
be build and run teams?
Wait, so what's your own question? Please, I lost my train of thought. What's your question on it? I know Ika talked about build and run team. Repeat your question, please.
Yeah, so during an interview, he said he was asked how he manages with build and run teams. So my question is, are Scrum teams typically build and run? Do they build and deploy? Or we have a department for deployment normally? But Uche mentioned that her team does build and run. So what I just want to know is, should we be concerned about deployments as Scrum Masters? Or how should we come in deployment? Are all Scrum teams build and run typically?
So the way typical Scrum teams work is they build, but they partner with the other team that deploys. For example, my organization, I have DevOps that does my deployments, but they don't do it alone. They still work with the Scrum teams too as well to get it done. Some Scrum Masters work with DevOps team solely. For every team that builds the code, they can't just hand it over to just and say, we're done. We're going to give it to another team, which is why they brought the concept of DevOps in. But we partner with DevOps to do deployment. We don't do anything when it comes to deployment as Scrum Masters. All we do is we support our team and make sure that the team that needs to be available are available for the deployment. So whichever way it is, whether they say build and run, it still ends up as a team. How do you still support the team? They're going to build and they're going to deploy. But how do you support your team as a Scrum Master? Your role doesn't change. You're not going to help them deploy. Most times you're hardly even there for deployments. I had a release this morning. I wasn't there. I witnessed it before, but I don't have anything to do there. So we're still going to work with our Scrum team, whichever way it is. Whether they say they build and run, it's still the team. Your role as a Scrum Master doesn't change. It's still the same. We support the team. If they're required to be at the deployment, the team who needs to be there will be there. There's some organizations that have a release plan that they do. So they have meetings before their releases. Scrum Masters are there, depending on the organization, they're part of it. The Scrum Master makes sure that everyone that needs to be there is invited for that release meeting before their release. That's how they do it in the organization. So even if you're there, you're probably just facilitating, ensuring that all the people who need to be there are there. But you're not doing anything extraordinary, no. And for the Scrum Masters in the house that are working, how many of you join your deployment calls?
I don't, but we have stuff that we do prior to deployment. We have to do a change request, and then we have to go to a change advisory board. We have to attend that meeting to not defend, to explain the change request. So you attend the meeting, and then once they call up your ticket, you explain what this change is for, this, to do that. It's been deployed in dark mode, and then deployment is tonight between 8 and 11 p.m. And this is the reason for it. And then if they have additional questions, if you are able to satisfy all the questions, then they just say, okay, we approve it. They can go into deployment. That's what we do. I think it was a PO function, but they dropped it in my lap.
So Mama T is different. She's mother of all nations on her job.
It's not just me. Winnie does it too.
Winnie dropped it for change request. Yes. Yeah. Winnie.
Yes, I'm here.
Do you do that too, or you do something else?
Yeah. No, we do the same, but a couple of times I've just joined to see what the deployment thing is about, like on, I think 4/16 or so last weekend. No, 4/15, Friday last week. So I just joined them to see what's about. I think I've done that twice. I know I was not supposed to be because they're talking some gibberish, but at least it was midnight, but I just had to do, and they were like, hey, Winnie, you're here. That's nice. Yeah. At least they were happy.
Support.
So, yes, exactly.
That's all she did, support. So like they do, we have a release wiki that I put together prior to the release. So all the codes that are going to be released is going to be in that wiki. Everyone who needs to be there, their names are already in that wiki. And then I post it on the release channel just a few days before. ping the people that need to make sure that my codes are in pre-production are there, just to make sure, oh, has the code been moved? They'll reply on the wiki. So they have a conversation on that channel back and forth before the release. That's all I do. So you technically don't do anything. You can just support your team, which is what they do. They have a change management system that they do, that they have to go to. They already have a template that they use.
Yep.
Those things exist. So technically, you're not doing anything for the deployment, but you're supporting your team where needs be. For example, if Mama T went for that meeting and she didn't have anything for her team for that period, she's not going to talk about it because there's nothing that she needs to talk about. So it's still the same role, doesn't change. The same thing that you do for your team is what you're going to do. Whether they call it a build and run, you're not the one that is doing the code now. You're not the one coding. You don't know how to deploy, but you can get the right people who need to be there together. You can facilitate that meeting prior, and then they have their release or their deployment. So, hey, Billy, your role is still your role. Don't let anybody shakara you with words.
Yeah, thank you.
Your role is still your role. Like I had someone ask me today, oh, so banking. I'm like, whatever industry you're in, your role as a Scrum Master remains the same. The only difference is the product or the project that you're working on. But your role never changes. Go ahead, Mama T.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So you attended a release. What happens during the release?
Also, let me tell you what happens during my release. So we never release over the weekend. Never. So if anything goes wrong, nobody's going to be there over the weekend to do it. We never release over the weekend. We release every 2 weeks. So my sprint ends on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, we're releasing. Our release starts at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. with the DevOps guys. And by 6 o'clock, all the product owners are there. What are they doing? They're doing like a smoke check. But prior to the release itself, they would have done all the smoke tests they need to do during the day before, when it's already in preview or pre-production. We call it preview. It's pre-production environment. So once it's in preview, everyone is already checking to see, is anything broken? They're going to place orders, make sure all the orders are going through, check on the apps, because we do apps and web and backend all together. They check and see if the codes are working well, everything is going well. They give a check to say, okay, we're good for release the next day. All this happens on Tuesday. So after Tuesday, Wednesday morning, when DevOps has deployed everything that needs to go, they start at 4. By 6, the product owners are joined. By 4 that DevOps has joined, all the other guys are joining too. So my UI guys are joining, all my app guys are joining. Everyone is joining to make sure that everything is set and ready to go. The new system is a push button, especially for the apps. When it's released, they just push it and release. So the way it works for us is, once the product owner go around, they do a last smoke check to see that everything is good, nothing's broken. If they find everybody shouting, did you see that? Did you see that? They'll check all the platforms to see everything is good. Then they give a thumbs up to say, yes, it's good. Can you clear cache? They'll clear the cache to make sure that nothing is blocking everything and it goes. The way it works in my company is, for the apps, they release just a small percentage on the release day. So it might be just 10% of the users. Everything goes well, no crash, nothing. By Thursday, Friday, they keep releasing until they release 100%. So that's why it goes. So I just see the chat go blue. Everybody's chatting, they're checking. Sometimes if I feel like I want to join, I can join. I also check the website to see, place orders and see if things are going on well. And that's it, but I don't have to be there. And then when they're done, in the morning, I say, oh, thank you guys, excellent release. Thank you for the good release. That's my role, and that's it. Release is done. So.
Interesting.
Push button now, they just push it. Boom, code goes. The way it works for the apps is slightly different in the sense that they have to send the codes to Apple. Apple has to approve first before it can go live to the customers. That's for the iOS. For Android, it has to go through the same, they have a platform that it has to go through. They have to approve it first before it's being released to the end users. So those are the difference in web and apps. When you do demo, if you finish your sprint on Wednesday and deploy it Thursday. So my sprint actually ends on Tuesday. That's when my sprint ends. That's when we do the demo. Same day ends the same day you do the demo. So Wednesday is my own release, Wednesday morning. is my release. Very early on Wednesday morning, while everyone is asleep, is my release. So we don't deploy on Thursday. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. Shaya, go ahead.
All right, I just wanted to, I guess, make sure like I was understanding properly, like the whole timeline, because you said every 2 weeks you do a release, right?
Mhm.
And then and your release starts on Wednesday. And that's also the same day, and I'm assuming that a new sprint starts,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So like all this is going on simultaneously. So like you do your release on Wednesday, and then you start a new sprint. So like the developers are starting like to work on the new user stories while also making sure that the release, like you said, they were doing the smoke checks.
Mhm.
So they're doing both simultaneously. Is that what's going on?
No, my release is 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.